Good morning to our viewers in Nigeria and across Africa. It's the conversation on TOS Television Network, your digital first Pan-African network. It's Thursday morning here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Adesuwa Osui.
And I am Merciful Hygiene. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Adesuwa.
Good morning, Merciful. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it's about that time where we bring you the quote of the day. Mark Twain right there with some Thursday morning motivation. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. I mean, if you don't start, you can't even move. You can't even move backwards, even if you don't start. So to get ahead, to get forward, you have to actually begin, start. Merciful, what's your take on that one?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. To get ahead, you have to start from somewhere. So whatever your dream is, whatever your aspirations are, whatever things you've thought before now that you'd have to accomplish when you're maybe 50, 60, you have to start the preparations from today. Just start so you can know
and they should also know that it's never too late to start.
It's never too late,
exactly.
Definitely. Because in 2025, people will be like, oh, if I had started in 2021.
Yes.
So there's always that place of regret if you do not start on time.
So like I say, just start. That's all. Start. And the rest, follows it. All right, we'll move straight into developments across Africa. Starting from here in Nigeria, where the Institute for Media and Society, that's the IMS, has called for conducive environment for journalism in Nigeria. That's, in line with the World Press Freedom Day earlier this week. The Institute, through its Executive Director, Dr. Akin Akingbulu, made this known on Tuesday in a statement to mark 2021 World Press Freedom. In the statement, IMS declared that the practice of journalism has been badly confronted with restrictions and also called for the need for professionally processed and credible information by all sections of the population, urging that citizens require information that are relevant to the daily issues of their individual lives and communities as well as those of governance in their societies. The statement reads, the media require conducive environments to be able to deliver on their expected roles, such as informing, educating and advocating for the public and in holding government accountable to the people. Unfortunately, the practice of journalism has been confronted with restrictions across the world. According to reports, in 2020 alone, 50 journalists were reportedly killed worldwide. In Nigeria, the past year has witnessed widespread attacks on journalists perpetrated through arrests and detentions, assault, damage of professional equipment, denial of salaries and dismissal from work, among others, IMS said.
I'm still on Nigeria here talking about insurgency and insecurity. The Kaduna State government said suspected bandits killed 2 and injured 6 residents in separate attacks in Chekun and Kajuru local government areas of the state. The Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, confirmed the incident in a statement on Tuesday in Kaduna. In a statement, Aruwan said security agencies reported that bandits invaded Mazari, a community close to Buruku in Chekun local government area. According to the report, 1 person was killed in the attack and 3 others injured. The commissioner said in another incident, bandits attacked Doka village, Kajuru local government area, killed 1 person and injured 3 others. Kaduna is one of the states most affected by banditry in Nigeria. I totally agree with this statement.
Yes, it's actually sad to see what's happening in Kaduna State. Before it used to be, Borno State, and when you're talking about insurgency, terrorism, you just readily say, Borno State, and then maybe neighboring state because, they're close to. But having to hear everything that's happening in Kaduna State right now, kidnapping, banditry, killing, it's quite sad. And I kind of, commend Governor Nasser El-Rufai for, his efforts and all of that stuff, having to say, look, we're at the top of our game, we're going to handle this and all of that stuff. There's no room for negotiation. I think I just like the part where he said there's no room for negotiation. We're going to do our best to actually ensure that we curb all of this. But I do hope that, like we say, for most parts of the country, a lot of things have been done. I think it was yesterday we're talking about them still in meeting and talking stage. And I just hope they get past the talking stage and get into action and implementation stage. So we just see total reduction in the number of terrorism.
That's our expectation. We want all of this to, be put to a halt as soon as possible so we can be free to walk around, to move around in our
you're not
country.
scared to even move around. Once it's getting dark, people are already, fretting. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get to my house at this point. And we shouldn't be having to live like that in the country.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for developments across Africa here on The Conversation on TOS Television Network. We'll bring you COVID-19 updates from across Africa just about now. Welcome back. That was COVID-19 updates from across Africa as collated by the Africa Center for Disease Control. That's the Africa CDC. And you know what I'll tell you, at this time, we all need to just do our bit to ensure that we eradicate COVID-19 in Nigeria, across Africa basically in 2021. I mean, countries like India are beginning to feel or having to feel the heavy brunt of COVID-19, and we don't want to get to that stage in Africa or in Nigeria. So just do your part, and I'll do my part to ensure that everyone is safe, including you and me. Okay, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, it's the time to take you through the national dailies this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget, and the budget they look. Some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenegbu, and I am the People's Journalist.
A big thank you for staying tuned to The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. Don't forget, you can always be a part of this show by following us across all our social media platforms at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, so you can stream all our programs we have for you. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube, TOS TV Network. It's that time where we'll bring you some of the topics, the headlines from across our national dailies in Nigeria here for this morning. We begin with Blueprint from the very top. Break Nigeria, expose minorities to oppression, extermination, OBJ warns. That's coming from the former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo. Assures nation's rough flames would soon be over. Assures nation's rough times will soon be over. That's coming from the former president right there. Gombe governor warns agent of doom Gombe governor wants agent of doom. All of this, the details of this stories can be found on page 5 of the blueprint. Just besides that, we're talking about tax evasion. FIRS plans direct deductions from defaulters' bank account. And that can be found on page 25. Insecurity, reps want plant censors suspended. We can get that on page 6 as well of the blueprint newspaper. And to the very obvious headline, they're talking about APC senators to minority caucus. Your plan to impeach Buhari dead on arrival. We have two writers on that story. The first accused PDP lawmakers of playing politics with Nigerians' lives. And the second said threat of constitutional measures can't work. That can be found on page 6 of the blueprint newspaper. Just underneath the picture of the day, how Gumi OBJ facilitated 29 students of Forestry College Afaka's freedom. The writer says, parent deny paying 0.8 million naira ransom. And that can be found on page 22. And just underneath that, gunmen killed 2 troops, rescue 13. That can be found on page 22. Talking about fuel pump price may rise as Brent crude climbs. You can get that on page 25. And on fishing and agriculture, reps seek end to invasion of territorial waters by foreign vessels. That can be found on page 13. And the last headline here is how we pulled education out of Abyss in Taraba, coming from Governor Ishaku. You can find the details of that on page 22 of the blueprint newspaper.
And on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the first headline there says, federal government harmonizing, not cutting salaries. That's coming from minister. And government wants investors to raise $250 million for national carrier. The main headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, after 15 million naira ransom, one bandit released in exchange for 27 Kaduna students. Family, state government rejoice. How Obasanjo Gumi negotiated release. Jonathan, Buhari's government paid ransom to kidnappers. That's coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And then just underneath the picture of the day there, on insurgency still, our husbands exhibiting abnormal behavior, troops' wives. Buhari is in charge. APC senators reply opposition colleagues. Insecurity, Southern governors canvass unified approach. And then the last one is on furor over rejection of accident patient at Mitama Hospital. All of these stories are inside the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Moving over to the Daily Times from the very top as always, APC senators tackle opposition, insist Buhari in charge of government. And the writer on the story says inflammatory statement by opposition threat to Buhari's authority. You can see the details of that on page 5 of the Daily Times. The very obvious headline there is Obasanjo opposes succession, ransom payment. We can get the details of that on page 2. And then just underneath pictures of the day, abduction, we see accusations, counter accusations as 29 abducted Afaka students regain freedom. You can see the details of that on page 2. Insecurity, 2 killed, many injured, others kidnapped as bandits attacked 2 churches in Kaduna. We can get the details of that on page 5. And the last headline is military allocation. Nigerian military got maximum budget allocation, coming from Finance Minister. And we can see all of that on page 4 of the Daily Times newspaper.
And the last daily we're going to be looking at this morning is the Nigerian News Director. The very top, the very first headline says, I was detained for blessing Nnamdi Kanu. That's coming from Reverend Father Mbaka. That story is on page 3. And then just beside it, Lagos MSME Recovery Fund. 1,835 businesses empowered with 939.98 million naira. Bandits released abducted Forestry College students. And then the main headline on the Nigerian News Direct says, Nigeria might break up after 2023. That's coming from Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria. The writer under that headline says, as Benue leaders seek former president's support, prominent Nigerians to end urges of killings. That's on page 21. And then the last headline on the Nigerian News Direct this morning, just underneath the pictures of the day, APC governors, Senate caucus declares support for Buhari over fight against insecurity. That's all of the headlines on the Nigerian News Direct this morning.
I'm really, I have mixed feelings, but I'm really happy for, the families of the 27 students that have been released to Kaduna police custody and everything.
Yeah.
You see, even though we're saying, look, we don't have to negotiate with terrorists, They don't have to keep paying ransoms because sometimes they ask for things that the Nigerian government cannot fulfill.
Even, yes.
So like you were saying yesterday, till they start asking for ministerial position before we know that there's a serious issue. So yes, I'm happy and I'm really quite sad that all of this is happening at the same time.
I mean, there's a headline that says after paying 50 million naira,
yes, and releasing one bandit.
They still have to release a bandit for them to release, you know. So I think the thing is that they just have you at the fingertips when you keep missing their demand. Imagine you paying 50 million naira and they're telling you have to release one of us before we actually release, you know, these bills. But the headline that really caught my attention had me, you know, I had terrible feeling about that one was, you know, the troops' wives coming out to say their husbands are, you know, exhibiting, you know, weird behaviors and all that stuff. That's wives of, you know, the Nigerian military troops. And, you know, I feel like it is expected.
Because of everything that's happening in the country, yes.
It messes with your mind. And I think
else,
that's why a lot of, you know, mental health processes, therapy, counseling session, they have to undergo all of that
yes,
stuff.
it's needed.
PTSD is serious.
And it's real.
It's serious and it's real. And then before people start to, you know, wreak havoc, you have, you know, people who are trained in combat, you know, on the loose because, I mean, it's messing with their mind. So they have to look towards, you know, therapy and all of that stuff for these trips because they're putting their lives and everything on the line, having to see your colleagues and your people murdered on the front line, all of that stuff.
And it's not an easy thing to process,
yes.
really.
And then you come back home to your family and then you cannot even relate well with them because
it's not normal.
You can't be normal. I don't think anybody can be normal after seeing all of that
normal.
stuff. Yeah, so they should just take care of them. I think they should take care of them.
All right, that's the most you can take on the newspaper review segment of the conversation for this morning. Don't forget you can always be a part of it. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, a day so I'll be taking you through what's trending on social media. Just stay.
Welcome back to the conversation on TOS Television Network. It's about that time where I bring you, you know, what I like to call my favorite segment of the conversation. That's because I'll be letting you in on what has been trending, what made it to the top of the chart table, you know, across social media platforms. But before we get into all of that, you know, as always, you can be a part of the conversation. You can drop comments, you know, remarks and all of that across our social media platforms. It's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And a small follow, subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube so you do not miss out on anything. Also, you can stream the conversation and other programs on www.tostvnetwork.com. Okay, so what has been trending on social media for the last 24 hours? If you've been, you know, if you've been on social media, if you've been following the news for the last, I think, 2-3 days, you would have heard of Hygiene. That's the lady, a young lady who went, you know, job seeking in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State and was murdered in the process. So she was raped, kidnapped, raped, and murdered. You know, somebody pretended to want to give her a job. She went on Twitter and posted that she needed a job, and then somebody invited her for an interview, and then she went, and then that was the end of her. So that trended on Twitter for the longest time, I think for 2 days straight. And then, so she has been trending on Twitter, on social media, you know, again. But this time it was a protest that was held on behalf of her, saying justice for Inu Omorin. So I'm going to read out a few tweets to that regard for you. The first one is from @Hadi Naji. She says, women in Akwa Ibom are protesting the gruesome murder of Inu Omorin, who went missing in April. Tweets helped unravel her case. The women are advocating stiffer penalties for gender-based violence, justice for Hygiene Omorin, no confidence, Igbo Aproko doctor. This one is from It's Lorraine. All that Moran wanted was a job, but she had her life at the mercy of a murderer. She just wanted a job. She asked for help on Twitter, but here we are, reading a horrifying tale that the job hunt ended in murder. I'm shaking as though I know her personally. At Chidi says, turn on location, she did. Tell fam where you're going, she did. Give them the visitors number, she did. Go during the day, she did. In case you have more tips on how women can stay safe, remember that Hino Moran took them all and she's still dead. And then the last is from It Is Kex. I can totally relate to Hino Moran. That could have been me. With the situation of this country, many people just want to survive, make money for themselves and family, as well as contribute to the society. He observed all necessary precautions. That was one of the saddest things that trended, because, initially when her friend came out to say, we can't find her, we're looking for her, she went to seek for a job, and then she made a frantic call, and then that was the last they had. Kudos to Nigerians for being able to, unravel the case, find the murderer, he's in police custody now. But it's quite sad what happened to this young lady. She just wanted a job. Then, as they said, she took all necessary precautions. I mean, how many people go for job interviews and send, details and everything to friends and all that? Look, this is where I'm going to. But she did all of that, right? And she still ended up dead, buried in a shallow grave by, organ harvesters. And I think it's about time where we start to actually let Nigerians know that, look, there's serial killers in this country, psychopaths. We just look at them like, oh, maybe they're just ritualists or somebody's just trying to... But we have psychopathic people walking around like normal people, friends and families. Just see them and you don't know that they have mental issues. I don't know how to go about, talking about it, because like when I heard this, I was really sad. I was brought to tears, like I actually knew this person. Because we have fake, job interview posts. I think that has happened to me before. So I was like, this could have been me, really. Because I think it was years ago when I was in Lagos State and I wanted to, apply for a job at that time. And somebody sent me, location and whatever to come for a job. It turns out it was a fake job interview. It could have been me. And I literally, so it wasn't even my dad that dropped me off there. So he knew where I was going, right? And my dad would tell me, look, this is Lagos. There are lots of fake job interviews. Kidnappers, all of those people just post fake job interviews and like people go there and then they don't come back again. Even people just write, if you need an electrician, call this number. If you need whatever, call this number. You call them, you invite them to your house, and that is the end of it for you. It's crazy. It's like extreme sport.
There's so many lessons that we can all learn from all of this. First is, this proves that there is only much you can do to make sure that you are secured in Nigeria at the moment.
Yes.
Do you understand? Secondly, the issue of unemployment. There are people out there who are very desperate to get a job.
Yes.
Desperate because they have families to feed, desperate because they do not have helpers, desperate because... So this is like, if there's nothing she has done wrong. If
she didn't do anything wrong.
She did everything normal and right.
Yes.
She even went overboard to make her friends aware that, look, she was going out, because many other people could have just gone and, nothing will happen and it just be swept onto the carpet.
Yeah.
Now, her friend contacted, if the Twitter, Nigerian Twitter people, I wonder what would have happened. Like, would have known what has happened, because it was the hashtag that, kept on going on streaming. And like, this country what is really happening?
Extreme sport. That's what I call it.
What is really happening is the question you ask.
We don't know, because if it's not banditry today, it's not kidnapping, it's not abduction. It just cuts across. I just hope she gets justice. I just hope the protests yield results. Like,
Definitely.
Those are mothers, feeling the pain. It could have been their daughters. It could have been anyone. It could have been your sister. It could have been anybody. So they've taken to the streets to say, look, we need to get justice for this person.
And she's not the first person
she's not.
of this
Exactly.
job, whatever, people who are trying
to gone for job and then we don't even know what happened to them till today. They just disappeared. Definitely. And nobody has heard anything. Nobody knows whether they were killed, abducted, trafficked, nothing. Nobody knows. But I just hope she gets justice, that Hino Moran actually gets the justice that she deserves, and this one is not swept under the carpet. This time.
I hope so.
Yes. Okay, that's it for what's trending on social media here on The Conversation. We'll go on a break now, what I like to call the most important break of all. And when we come back, we'll be bringing you the big story.
A big thank you for staying tuned to the conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, 2S Television. Don't forget you can always be a part of our social media community so you don't miss out on our content. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at TOS TV Network. Do follow if you have not done so. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube, TOS TV Network. And don't forget you can always live stream our program and content on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. It's the big story, the crux of the conversation. And today we're talking about World Hand Hygiene Day 2021. And our focus is Nigeria. Now, the Save Lives Clean Your Hands global campaign, launched in 2009, celebrated annually on 5th May, aims to maintain global promotion, visibility and sustainability of hand hygiene in healthcare and to bring people together in support of hand hygiene improvement around the world. For World Hand Hygiene Day 2021, the WHO calls on healthcare workers and facilities to achieve effective hand hygiene action at the point of care. Now, the point of care refers to the place where three elements come together: the patient, the healthcare workers, and care or treatment involving contact with the patient or their surrounding. Joining us to discuss the hand wash hygiene culture in Nigeria is Chukwuma Nana, the Executive Director of Toilet Pride. You're welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Fine. Now, first of all, if you'd want to appraise Nigeria, where we are in terms of adhering to the hand wash culture in Nigeria, what would be your take?
I would say we're not doing very well, even with COVID. A lot of health facilities still struggle with hand washing behavior of personnel. So it's a big challenge for the average Nigerian to practice good hand washing behavior. And we know the reasons. Many people still struggle to have access to wash facilities, even water. Yeah.
Okay, so but what is the importance of commemorating Hand Washing Day? Because it might look like a very trivial thing. Why set up a day to just make people wash their hands? What's the importance, the significance of doing that?
It's very important because, when we look at the people involved, especially healthcare workers, and then the linkage to especially women and then even children, you realize that it's very important to revisit the issue of hand washing. When you look at the statistics, they are scary. We have more than half of our healthcare facilities who do not have basic water services. More than half do not even have sanitation services in this healthcare. So this becomes a challenge because, patients, both staff, women and newborns are all put at risk. So we're getting to a point where we're saying clearly that getting washed in healthcare is becoming a very urgent national need in Nigeria. We must really address. So on a day like this, we emphasize the need to ensure people have access to hand washing facilities and the right culture. Yeah.
Now, this hand washing thing, I remember during the time, the surge of Ebola, where the hand wash was a thing, and people, started having hand washing facilities to wash their hands. COVID-19 came, and we were still talking about Nigerians not, observing all of this. Do you think it's an improvement on the hand wash hygiene thingy, or do you think it's just stagnant?
I would say it's still stagnant. We haven't done much. People need to see hand washing as a behavior that needs to be sustained, not just because my agency or government wants us to do it. And that's why we need to begin to reinforce proper hygiene behaviors, at all levels, so that we get to a point people understand that every time I wash my hands, I'm actually protecting myself, not just because somebody needs me to do it, to get into a facility or, somewhere. So I would say we're not doing very well, we're still stagnant. And it's sad because COVID-19 actually highlighted the need, to take wash very seriously. So, post-COVID, it's still a challenge and worrisome that more than half of Nigerians still do not take hand washing as serious as it should be.
Now, different call to action according to the World Health Organization is for facility managers and healthcare workers to, install hand washing facilities. How have we been doing? How have we been faring so far? How many shops? How many locations? How many offices do you have hand washing facilities at the moment? Do you know that?
We do not have, the statistics are not, they're a bit scattered right now. Data on availability of wash facilities. But I can tell you for sure that most of our primary healthcare facilities, when they do have these hand washing stations, they are not in use. They are not very effective, and people do not use them. So I would say availability is a little bit low, and usage also it's a bit low. And this is, a big call for action. We need to take this serious. Our primary healthcare facilities, which is the closest to the average man in the community. So we need to begin to revisit this, get our health workers, get our administrators, get government and CSOs and everyone to take this serious, so that every time a woman needs to give birth, every time a patient visits the hospital, he or she is sure there is water, adequate water supply, is sure there is soap to wash hands, and then a facility that's also accessible, especially for those who are elderly and then with disability.
Okay. In conclusion, it's one thing to have, facilities, authorities have, these hand washing equipments and facilities in place. But another thing, to have people actually be willing to do that, because you did mention that Nigerians do not necessarily see the need to actually wash their hands, except, they're obligated to do so. How can we begin to make Nigerians see that, look, it shouldn't be an obligation. It should be a way of life. You should regularly wash your hands. This is what you should do. Where can how can we bridge this gap and begin to make them understand that this is a necessity for you?
Yeah, first, I think we need to revisit our behavioral communication strategies. Our campaigns should be people-centered and, speak more to the benefits of doing this for ourselves, not just for government. And that's one. Then secondly, we need to increase investment in provision of these facilities. Based on research, it's proven that people are more open to wash their hands when they see the facility within close range.
Okay.
So people need to see hand washing stations close to them. People need to see soap. People need to see inscriptions in accessible formats, so that people will know this is important and something they must do always. And we just need to increase awareness on the benefits of hand hygiene at all levels.
Okay.
All right, before I let you go, can you describe the hand wash format, the standard?
Yeah, the proper way to wash your hands.
Okay, yeah. So you wash your hand, use water, use soap, wash in between, and then rinse and dry. It's actually a 6-step, and there's a song for it. I think it's some other time, but it's a 6-step way. You get water, wash your hand, rinse well between your hands, and then rinse and dry. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Mr. Nana. It's been a very insightful moment. We do hope we have more of you on our shows consequently. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. How have you been washing your hands?
It's a habit for me, actually.
Okay.
I'm always washing my hands. I think I've always been like that. So it wasn't like a transition. It wasn't hard for me to just flow with it and then just wash my hands and all of that stuff. So I think, but I had to learn the proper way to do it. Everybody just do that and now you're done. But I had to learn the proper way to wash in between, wash behind, the nails and all that. Yeah, I had to learn the proper way to do it and just do that for at least 20 seconds, before rinsing off and all of that. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really fun. Really. Please let us make sure we wash our hands. Now we're talking about COVID-19. We cannot afford to get to a third wave. Really, Africa as a continent cannot afford it. So please, let's take washing hands seriously. And also other protocols, wearing a face mask, observing social distancing, right, is very important. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on the conversation. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can always be a part of it, our social media community at TOS TV Network across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And of course, our website is www.tostvnetwork.com. Please, if you have not subscribed on our YouTube, do so now. It's TOS TV Network, and you can get all of our amazing content lined up for you. I am Merciful Ajinabo.
My name is Adesuwa Osuyi. Good morning, and thank you for watching the show.